So Marion, like, I'm
Pretty good numbers.
I'm good.
Slept on.
Yeah. Guys ready? It's 6:30 p.m. and call the Legislation, Codes, and Regulations Committee to order. Clerk, would you take roll, please?
Mr. R. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Kreider?
Yes,
Mr.
here.
Clark?
Here.
We have the summary of proceedings. Has everybody had a chance to look that over?
No, I didn't see anything.
I didn't find anything.
I didn't find anything either, so
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Clerk, would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Kreider?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Two items on old business tonight. The first item, Clerk, would you read that, please?
Ordinance amending Marion Codified Ordinance Title III, Legislative Chapter 111, Council Section 111.04, Duties, Privileges, and Decorum of Members, 111.04G, Rule 27 of the Codified Ordinance of the City of Marion.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, I still have some questions on this. I don't like to leave things to interpretation, especially for somebody that maybe 5 years down the road might interpret it differently. But under Rule 27, time limitations speaking, it says no member. I would like that to say no council member, and shall be allowed to speak for a longer time than 10 minutes at any one time without the permission of, and I don't know about council. Do we have to vote if we want somebody to, or should that be the presiding officer?
I think it should be
The presiding officer.
That's what I'd like that changed to presiding officer. And then again, no council member shall speak more than once on the same motion until every other council member desiring to speak on the motion has had an opportunity to do so. So I'd just like to add the word council before member to make sure that it's it's
Yeah.
council, and also to change that permission of the council to permission of the presiding officer. So I would make that recommendation to amend that.
Where was the other one you wanted to change down here?
Put council in front of member here and over here.
Okay.
Oh, another one that I noticed too. In G1,
Yeah.
the mayor or any member of the administration shall not speak longer than 10 minutes upon the same motion, ordinance, or question without the consent of the council. Again, do we want to have to take a vote every time, or do we want to say make that the presiding officer?
Say presiding officer.
Yeah, so let's make that change too. And I would make a motion that we amend the ordinance for that.
I'll second
Well,
that.
I've got a question though. So when you have longer than 10 minutes, so is 10 minutes your assigned time, and then would you be able to, let's say you spoke for 6 minutes, would you then forfeit the remaining time, or could you yield it to somebody else, kind of like we do in Congress? How would that work?
That's a good question.
Why are you looking here?
I think it's just each individual.
Well, I mean, so that is the motion, that you made a motion, there's a second to make some amendments, and I was following along. I don't think there's any issues with inserting council in front of the word member, although, and I understand why, because 20 years from now, they may not know what the member reference is made to. I can't imagine that'd be the case, but it doesn't hurt to put council in front of member.
Right.
What was the other one? You made one more?
I see.
In,
Oh, you
council member?
changed, so, well, actually, in regards to, it's on the question that you presented to me just now.
Okay.
You changed the council determining when time limits should be expanded, and you place that authority with the presiding officer.
Okay, so then therefore, if they
And
speak
you-
for 6 minutes,
Well, no, wait, hold on, I'm sorry.
yeah.
So now that, and you, now the question was, if the mayor or an administrator was approaching the 10-minute point, it should limit on the length of time on the maximum.
Maximum, so-
Maximum. So there wouldn't be any yielding like Congress, because we're not that formal yet,
Yeah.
although you have us headed there.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying, if there's, like, if you have to, after everybody else has had the chance to speak, then if you have time, would that have another 10 minutes, let's say? You see what I'm saying, or would that?
So that's always, since there's no rule that specifically gives guidance,
So that'd be presiding officer?
council can make that determination at that point in time
Okay.
in that meeting.
Okay.
Because council always determines its process and procedures.
Right.
If there's a rule, council should follow the written rule. If there's no written rule, council, and there's a question, there's not uniformity, council can take a vote. Council acts in everything it does by a majority vote.
Okay. Thank you.
Clerk, there was one other thing that I had on here too that I missed. It's on the second page, again, without the consent of council, third line from the bottom. And I would like
Presiding officer.
That's what's-
presiding officer on that one too.
Where's that at?
That's on the last page, or second page, the third sentence up.
Okay, thank you.
Says, again, without consent of the council, change that to presiding officer. So with those, clerk, would you take the vote, please?
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Kreider?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Okay, need to reread that as amended?
Ordinance amending Marion Codified Ordinance Title III, Legislative Chapter 111, Council Section 111.04, Duties and Privileges and Decorum of Members, 111.04G, Rule 27 of the Codified Ordinance of the City of Marion as amended.
Anybody on committee have any further comments, or?
No, I'd like to make a motion to send on to council with a recommendation to approve.
Not for me.
I would like to rather hold this due to some information that just came up, hold this to at least our next committee meeting.
Then I'll rescind my motion.
Do we need to vote on that? No.
No.
Okay, so we'll hold this till the next committee. Old business number 2. Clerk, would you read, please?
Discussion of regulations governing e-bikes, scooters, and other similar vehicles.
Okay. To me, this is a very confusing piece of legislation. And I believe the last time when we met, we came up with some suggestions, and there were some typos that needed to be corrected. I see they have not been corrected in here. We're missing a section 3, and we're missing a section C or something. Yeah, on page 4, we're missing a section 3, and then we've got a section C that has no heading or anything. So I'm not sure what we're doing with that.
I think I grabbed the wrong one.
I have section 3, I don't have
Yes.
section 2.
Yeah, I was really good.
Oh, yeah,
driving
there is a
through,
section 2.
But,
There's a section 3.
Yeah, it's,
I think what happened the last time is
A3.
you only got like the even or odd number pages.
well, 'cause I clicked on the link on our email, and I got more complete.
I think when I printed these out, for some reason, it only gave me the odd pages, and I
Okay.
did not catch that. Because there's a few more pages here than there was the last time.
okay, yeah, so we need to find out what that is. Anybody on the committee have anything to?
Well, I would just kind of offer, there's a speaker last time, there's a couple of things that I brought out. One was, I think the big thing is the communication. If we have an SRO, for example, I don't know, because we've got, let's say, we've got a lot of issues with the in Chateau Ridge, okay, so, but if they're only speaking to city schools, we've got Pleasant River Valley School Districts there as well. So I just think we've got to have some other way to communicate, whether that's, let's say it's just an insert in your utility billing, another page for those, or something of that nature, just to get some information out, in addition to maybe some, if you have like an email or website information, because not everybody will have access. That's one thing. I like the idea too of, similar to what we have on East Center Street, and for a bike lane, and that could be specific. There might be some opportunities, like in Lower Valley, for example. That street seems to be a little bit more wide, but you could still have a bike lane, and that could be designated, and you'd also have a company signage here and there, because I think the confusion lies with the classifications, exactly, and I think that part really needs to be clear up. So that's just my initial thoughts.
So your suggestion is that the utility building have an insert?
Perhaps,
That explains a little
That
bit about
explains a
this?
little bit of this. I think that'd reach a lot of
Would that
residents.
be a possibility? Do you know? Whoever volunteers. Okay.
So if I may?
Sure.
So I think your question was related to, and actually I know it was focused on educating the people in our community as to what the regulations are as to bikes, e-bikes, electronic toys. So it's not so much the access of bike lanes on a particular street. We're really trying to address young children on devices that are highly capable, much more capable than when we were little, many years ago, and regulating at what age they would be able to operate a particular device. For example, if less than 18, wearing a helmet, as some of the captured from another community that has also revised their e-bike type ordinances. But I think one thing, and Councilperson Rollins shared an insightful article over the weekend from a community around a suburb of Columbus that was, what I pulled from that was, it had to do with registration. And that might help us with an issue, because if we're telling a child that's less than 18, they can't ride this particular device because it goes too fast, is there a way to allow them to ride an electronic device that doesn't go over 10 miles an hour, and they could have it pre-certified to be ridden on neighborhood sidewalks? They're not in the street because they're not 18, not 16. But that's one area where we're trying to say, where can they ride the devices? It's not so much, and that really, I believe, should be our focus. Who would be prohibited from riding a certain type of device? And if you are allowed to operate the device because you're the right age, where can they be ridden? Because the point is to get the children out of the streets.
Just for your information, the mayor's conference is this month in June, about the middle of the month, and this is one of the top 3 topics that we'll be talking about at the mayor's conference. So may find some answers there, and some other, I think they're trying to find a community that has a pretty good policy, that other people, rather than reinventing the wheel, that they can figure out how to implement this as Ohio Municipal League guidance kind of thing. So I just want to let you know that I'll be going to that in the middle of the month, and I'll bring back whatever they
Good,
have there.
that'd be great.
Thank you.
I kind of like the idea of the registration. I know when I was so high, we had to register our bicycles. We took them down to the police station. They tagged them for us and registered them for us. And at that time, they explained to us the rules for riding. And I thought that was very insightful. I still remember that to this day. Not the rules, but I still remember it. Mr. Rollins,
Can I add a comment?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So I don't think it would be productive to go back to the days that I recall, the little red license plates, because the burdens upon the police department, the administrators, and City Hall are overwhelming already in regards to that. But it might be an opportunity to have a registration provision. They can have their device pre-registered, they can get a sticker on it issued by the City of Marion, they can have it pre-approved for sidewalk use by less than 18-year-olds, that kind of concept. Because
Right.
they're pre-approved because they've been tested or at least examined and not capable of going over 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Mr. Rollins.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I did send out that article, Aaron Rollins, Councilwoman Lawrence, by the way. I did send out that article. There were a few takeaways for me, in particular. Not only were all these children required to register the vehicles, but they also had to sign off saying that they understood the rules, the regulations, and that they understood the rules and regulations of the city parks as well. I know as having a young boy that's playing baseball right now, numerous times at Lincoln Park, I run into issues with these e-bikes in the park. I'm not a huge fan of the idea around registration, but I think with something like this, the idea behind registration is pretty intuitive. And then they're going so far, if you read the article, any e-bikes or scooters that aren't, that don't have the registration sticker on them, the police department can actually confiscate or even disable the function of the bike. So they're taking it pretty serious down there. So that's all. Thank you.
Yes.
Amy Temple, 413 Winter Street. I heard Mr. Kreider say about letting the people know. The only problem with putting it in utility bills is not everybody gets their bills in the mail.
Right, ma'am.
So I was thinking, link on the website, Marion, make Marion great, better having that. And then my other question would be, and because I have not read this completely, I could be off, but who's going to be responsible if those kids don't get those bikes registered? Or if those kids cause an accident? Are you going to go after the child who's riding the scooter? Something to consider. All right, thank you.
Yes, Ms. Craig?
Naomi Craig, 265 Silver Street. We need some rules and regulations. I think we've been talking about this for well over a year, and I've seen people be significantly injured in front of my home on these things, so we need to do something. That said, confiscating them, okay? The people that are responsible parents that already care about how their kids use these things are going to be the ones that bring their children here to register them. The parents that do not care and turn their kids loose on these things are not going to bring their children here to register these. Unlikely. I can't say they're not going to. It's unlikely that they will. So, I can do this too, Mr. Clerk. So, are we going to start stealing stuff from poor people that don't care? Is there going to be a path for them to get their things back? I just see this as, we need some type of rule, but taking people's stuff, I don't think that's where we should start. Some people, use these things, I've seen them riding down 95 to get to work. All right, so what if your kid goes and hops on it, you don't know because you work a 15-hour shift and you're asleep, and there's no license plate on it, and now your transportation to work has been confiscated. So we can't just go start taking people's stuff. We can't go there. And we're going to disproportionately hit a group of people that already don't care. And yes, we do need to do something. But I don't think taking people's stuff, maybe on the second ticket, maybe the second time you get in trouble, it sits down there in the property room for, I know you don't want to hear the property room getting used up, but it sits down there in the property room for 10 days, and then mom and dad have to come back and sign. And if it happens again, then mom and dad are in trouble. I'll tell you, the juvenile justice system in Marion is not good. So if we think we're going to go that enforcement route, that's not going to be a good route of enforcement. But we can't just take people's stuff. And we can't just disable it, because it really might be the way that somebody drives to Dollar General to get back out in the milk.
Ms. Craig?
Yes.
Let me address I agree with what you say. The city of Marion is not looking to take property, I'm sure. What they're looking for is to promote the safety of children.
Yeah.
And
everyone really,
Yes.
but kids first, yeah.
Exactly. And at times, it might be necessary to take the property in order to ensure the safety. I think that's going to be a rare occasion.
I would rather see adults that blow through stop signs and four-lane intersections. I would rather see them lose their privileges to write the things than a child that could probably use some education as opposed to just discipline.
Right,
So.
I agree. Just say I had one up here.
Diana Jesse, 701 Blaine Avenue. I'm kind of ahead of you guys. Once you make this, whatever happens, into a law, can we get the resource officers in the schools, because they are very much respected by the kids? Can we get them to have a, what do you call it, assembly? Do they still call them assemblies in school? And warn the kids that this, you know, their bikes could be taken away? I mean, it's not saying that we will, but it could possibly be. And just talk to the kids at the schools and let them know that this is a dangerous situation and they could be seriously hurt. And just reach out that way instead of doing the bills and things. Would your resource officers, could they hold an assembly at the schools?
The resource officers in the city don't control what the city schools do as far as having assemblies. However, we certainly could ask to communicate that to the city schools. Like Mr. Kreider said, there's a lot of kids in the city who don't go to city schools. They either go open enroll somewhere else, charter school, homeschool, things like that.
Right.
As long as we do not have the facilities to confiscate stuff, right? What we do now with people who are driving things without licenses is we have the ability to have them towed, including mini bikes and the things like that now, and that has happened. This is a very, this discussion engenders strong emotions on both facts. I was working on Sunday, I was up in Fair Park, responding to a complaint of mini bikes. I find a whole gaggle of kids on bikes. I say, please don't ride them on the city streets. Get one kid to walk them home. I get half the neighbors mad that I didn't give them tickets and tow their stuff. And I get the mom of the kid who walked his bike home mad because I'm not letting the kids have fun. So we need to have clear rules with clear consequences that can be enforced consistently, but confiscating, which means taking and not giving back, is not what we want to be involved in. A, we don't have the facilities. B, there has to be some kind of due process to get your stuff back. We already have things like that with towing now, but I don't want to be involved in taking and not giving back. A, we don't have the things for it, and B, there should be some kind of process.
Do you think the resource officers
Could certainly ask.
could make
We have,
stand, you know?
those things would all be controlled by school principals,
Yeah.
whether there's assemblies or not. So I can't promise you we would do that because I don't control the school principals.
Yeah, I
But
understand,
we
but-
certainly would be a part of something like that if they would permit it.
Okay, but would it be worth doing, I guess? Is what
An assembly? Yeah, I think the more information we give out, the better off we are.
Okay.
I think a large part of this particular ordinance is going to be information, educating the public, educating the kids, and, you know, all you can do is educate and then enforce if they don't. So, somebody else back here.
I live in the county, so you're gonna have to vote, I guess, or...
Chairman, you can let him speak
Yeah.
if you desire.
Go ahead.
I need a name and address.
Philip Townsend, 3634 Harding Highway West, 992 Jamaican. I agree with what the chief said, that, you know, anything you guys do, any ordinance, anything you're going to do is going to be about enforcement. Because everything's legal until you get caught. I mean, that's the real of it. There's many, many ordinances in this town that aren't enforced. I mean, you can't park in your front yard. I can take you and show you hundreds of people, cops driving by left and right. Can't do this, can't do that. It's not enforced. There's dogs running everywhere, attacking kids, attacking this, that, and the other. There's ordinances against it, but nobody does anything about it. So, I mean, it's just all talk until you put enforcement by it. You guys don't have the people, you don't have the money, so it becomes academic. So, I'd just also like to say that you took no questions about the decorum issue. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Mr. Rollins?
Can I speak on this again? Yeah.
Yes. Well, wait a minute. I think
I think Mr.
Mr. Daniels had something he wanted to say. Is that right? I better let him go first.
Lenny Daniels, 608 Decatur Street. Now, I'm not against taking the e-bikes. The e-bikes are not a problem. I mean, they go like about 8, 10 miles an hour at top speed. And not about the scooters either. The problem I have is with the ATVs and with the off-road motorbikes that have been blasting up and down down my street for a couple of months. Now, the white ATV has disappeared. But about 2 years ago, he nearly had an accident in my yard because he came up and then yanked and then almost flipped his vehicle. It's like he did it luckily on the road, but he could have ended up in my yard. And all these parents that don't care about registering their kids will care greatly if one of their bikes ends up in my yard and they sue me for the damage caused. I know this is just a discussion, but I'm like, this is getting pretty serious. I mean, when you get like 4 or 6 bikes, and not just once. And what they do is they come up my street and then they cross over into the apartments across the street, and then they go up in the back of Pear Park, and then curve back around. So I know right now you're in a discussion phase, but I mean, when do they start caring? When they start getting hurt and they end up in the street? Because I've seen that happen. Now, well, luckily right now that hasn't happened, but it could.
Yeah, we want to try to prevent that or reduce it as much as possible. That's why we're here.
And my other question, before I sit down, is like, how far do you extend this? Because, I mean, we're not just talking about the bikes. I mean, we're talking about idiots out there. I'm going to say that because that's what they do on a 10-speed bicycle that will lit at Clerk Street. That was a year or so ago when I was taking Clerk Street around that corner, and this guy just comes flying out of the one-way and lands right in front of me. And I know he was an adult. He wasn't no kid. But they just don't care. It's almost like they expect you to hit them so they can collect. I mean, how far are you going to extend it? Is it just going to be the e-bikes, or is it actually going to cover bicycles and
I think
trucks?
this is it. I think this only covers the motorized, right? The electronic bikes. I think.
It's pretty comprehensive. What we're talking about is available online, and the clerk or myself can provide you a copy of it, so you can read it between now and the next meeting, or contact us if you have questions in between. Because I would recommend we have a long discussion on this topic. As Mayor Collins pointed out, there's going to be a discussion period at the mayor's conference. So I think we need to hear comments and suggestions, and there's no rush to incorporate this into our code, meaning it can take us a month or maybe 2 to have a discussion.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Rollins.
Yeah, Aaron Allen, City Council at Large. I guess I should sit back down because I thought there was an urgency here. I felt like there was maybe a need to get this moving. So what I was going to suggest is that if we weren't going to make active amendments to this, let's move it on to council so we can have a discussion and start making amendments and crafting some legislation. But if we're okay with waiting, I guess that's okay. I just would urge us not to talk about safety if that's the concern. Because if the concern is safety, we should try to move something forward.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that too. Yeah, here we're in the middle of summer for the kids and all of that, so.
Ms.
yeah.
Larkin.
Pam Larkin, Second Ward City Council. The kids up on North Prospect Street have stopped riding in the street, but now they're riding in Lincoln Park on that path. So I'd like to go grab them off their place. But if there's any way that can be because they've almost run over people on those paths. But they're all over everywhere up there.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other comments? I think we need to do a lot of discussion on this. We need to do a lot of refining. Most of this, I think, comes from the state of Ohio, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's already in the state. So I guess we have to figure out how we're going to apply this to Marion and the citizens of Marion. This is the second reading, so we will have another reading in 2 weeks when we have our next committee meeting. Anybody have anything else to say? Ms. Craig.
Hey, I'm Craig, 365 Silver Street. Since you didn't take any public comment on the first article of legislation about the public time limits, I did go through and read the Montgomery case, and that's nothing groundbreaking. But I do want you to notice that it came out in April of this year, but limited public forums you've always been able to put a time limit on them, so that's not anything too controversial. But what I was still wondering, and I know, we're still going to be talking about this, but it occurred to me, I spent some time in federal court last week, and some conversations happened. They take your phones from you in federal court. You guys sit there and have fun for hours on end and entertain yourself with this conversation. My attorney and I were talking about, this is the 250th anniversary of the United States, and July 4th, 1776, we signed the Declaration of Independence, and I was going through some of the names that our founding fathers came up with for the British. They called them corrupt parasites, they called them tyrants, they called them plunderers, they called them oppressors, they called them tools of tyranny, they called them villains, they called them miscreants, they even called them hellhounds. So I just think it's kind of ironic that celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States and coming off what I consider a win for the people and for freedom of speech, that we are still thinking about limiting this and still you're setting us up for viewpoint discrimination, which I do hope you take the time to look at. But there are things that my attorney and I were talking about. You go ahead and pass this. There can be no emotion in these meetings going forward. So when someone gets up here to tell you and they're crying because their dog got hit because the speed limit is too high on their street, you're going to need to gavel them and tell them that they're being too emotional, because there will be no room for any emotion, because it will be viewpoint discrimination. You let one person get up here and express emotion. Now, last year, I was accused of felony intimidation for a few times for raising my voice like this. That was felony intimidation. So if I'm going to be gavelled for that and called a felon, you're not going to be allowed to let anyone come up here and cry. We're all share to laugh about the little license plate thing. That can't happen anymore. No emotion, no talking out of turn. It needs to be as silent as it is right now throughout the entire meeting. And when it's not, I'm going to document it every single time. And when I get gavelled for saying something that you don't like, that's going to be viewpoint discrimination. And I'm going to load up enough of those, and we're going to go to court again. And we'll keep doing it until you decide to stop violating our rights. I have questions about things like clothing. I've been going through some clothes lately, and I found some t-shirts that I'm pretty sure at one point in time I bought just to make my mom and dad mad. I'll be glad to wear them up here. You're gonna gavel me, you're gonna throw me out. At what point does our speech become protected? If you don't like the middle finger on the shirt that I'm wearing, one of you don't, you're gonna throw me out. And you've got your little Montgomery case there. There was a case a couple years ago, I forgot the name. It's two gentlemen, Wilmington, Ohio, here in Ohio. They were thrown out of city council. They left, okay? They left on their own. Police chief decided to arrest them on their way out. They settled for $300,000. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was told that you can't do anything to stop frivolous lawsuits. Yes, you can. You cannot violate our rights. You can make sure this viewpoint discrimination stuff doesn't happen. I would take some time and think about this legislation. City of Marion settled with me last week. Okay, so my lawsuit was not frivolous. It took me 18 months to prove a point, and I've got another 18 months in a retainer in me. So,
Okay, excuse me.
Yes.
Can we not discuss your legislation yet? Your
I can discuss
legal-
whatever I'd like. I have the freedom of
Does not
speech to do
pertain-
that.
it does not
But it
pertain to
does,
what we're doing right here.
because we're talking about legislation to limit speech, and I'm telling you, I just settled a case where my speech was limited. So if you think that my cases are frivolous or that I don't know what I'm talking about, what I'm telling you is that you're wrong. And if you don't like that, go ahead and gavel me, I'll write it down, and we'll start this whole process over. You had someone up here 2 weeks ago telling you that they loved the 3-minute idea. Took them 5 minutes to tell you that. Okay? So just think about what you're doing before you do this.
I'm sure
Do
we
some
will.
reading. 1776, July 4th, in the spirit of the American Revolution, those men pledged their lives, their freedom, their sacred honor, and their wealth. And you all can't stand being called jackasses.
And that's one reason I was not willing to go and move this to council, so we can have a continued discussion on it.
Thank you, Mr. Kreider, I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Okay, we move on to new business, which we have none. Matters not on the agenda, does anyone have anything to be brought before the Legislation Codes Committee? Mr. Daniels,
Matters on the agenda.
legislation codes.
What's that?
For legislation codes.
For this committee.
Okay, I'll reserve for the next one.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, I would like to say something, like, took me a minute
Yes.
to get here, but is it okay if I go?
Go ahead and come up if you have something to say. State your name and address, please.
Yes. So I am Telly Haynes, and my address is 160 Sharpless Court. And I think the excuse that was given to me when I started reciting Quran was that there was some type of glitch in the system. But I think that's a First Amendment issue. You know, I don't think that there's been any person who has had that issue, you know, when dealing with a religious issue. You know, I see many people of different religious persuasions speak of Bible verses up here, but yet I get up here and say something about the Quran or recite a verse, and, you know, the live feed cuts out. And so I don't think limiting, you know, public speech about anything, especially not at a religious point of view. Meetings are opened up with different Christian Bible verses, and that's not the makeup of the whole community here. You know, there's people of different religious persuasions. I think that should, you know, be an issue, because I could have made it an issue, a really big issue. So I wanted to address that tonight as far as limiting speech, and also limiting speech, you know, about any of the issues for the public is, you know, First Amendment issues. We should not be even considering that. We, the people, are who have, you know, elected you. You're here to do our bidding, really, right? And so how can you do our bidding if you don't want to hear from us? You're not, you know, on high. You're servants of the people, and we placed you here to do our bidding, what we want. And if we can't speak, and if we're being limited, then you're encroaching. I think those are possibly emolument violations. Possibly. If we look into that, you know, these things should not take place. I feel that myself personally, I've been targeted. Yeah, I don't know when I leave out of here what the weather will be like, so I had to wear my jacket. A little hot, but I had to wear my jacket because I had to walk. And why did I have to walk? Because I don't know, it's possible that someone slipped my tires, messed with my car. You know, I'm down. The last time my car was up, I was being arrested across the street for something I haven't been charged with. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And so I think that once the public starts talking about the harms that have happened to them, things start happening. One of those things right now, we're here talking about limiting us in our speech. I had filed a scathing motion across the street concerning a protection order, you know, where I was violated as a victim. And they mysteriously messed up on the respondent's social security number, so it never attached to this guy. And then turned around and gave that same guy custody of my children out of the same court and the same judge. And also gave him my social security number on the notice. So I filed that, and then I must have pissed somebody off because it's saying I know I'm being arrested on violations of things that are clearly in a court order saying I can do them. So when the people start speaking up about the injustices that are going on, now we want to hush the people. I think Marion is being led down a dangerous road, a very dangerous road. And I don't think that the people of Marion are going to stand for that. I certainly don't think that the courts are going to stand for that, because those are the next avenues that the people have to make sure that we're heard. You know, city council doesn't want to listen to us. I think the courts will. And I don't think that it has to go that far. I think we just had a First Amendment case resolved. And there can be others if that's the route that we have to go. But I think that we have a chance to correct. There's brakes on any car. We can stop. We don't have to go forward. We can, you know, take some time and see if this is the route we want to go, because I don't think Wilmington, Ohio enjoyed what happened to them after the First Amendment violations that occurred there.
Well, let me reassure you, first of all, that nobody on the member of council, nobody in the administration wants to restrict your freedom of speech. Your content of speech, you say what you feel like saying. We don't want to get involved to the point of where nobody else has the opportunity to speak. And that's what the limitation that we're trying to impose is it's just a matter of letting people have the opportunity to speak their turn, but they can speak as many times as they want to. I don't care, I'll be here till midnight, it doesn't matter to me. If nobody else wants to speak and you want to speak again, I'm all for it. But we need to give everybody the opportunity to say what they feel like they need to say concerning the subjects that are brought up here. And we kind of have to restrict it to those subjects, otherwise we get off onto a tangent and we never get anything done. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. No way do I want to restrict anybody's speech. I don't want anybody restricting my speech, you know, because we all fall under the First Amendment. And although, you know, I kind of have the podium or the chair here, but there are other places where I'm in your situation, and I need to be able to speak freely there too. But I understand time limits. You got to give people an opportunity to speak. So I appreciate what you're saying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? I'm not familiar enough with the Quran to know that you were quoting it. Can you tell me when you did this and when the live feed was cut off? Because we're totally unaware if the live feed goes off.
Yeah.
We don't know that's going on.
Right. Well, I don't come to city council often, but I believe it may have been the second to last time that I was. Do you remember, Marion? But it was also noted on the public comments. There was a comment that was left. The gentleman said that the best part of the meeting was when the live feed was cut from me.
That came from a council member or a citizen?
I don't even remember who it was. I think it may have been a citizen. I don't believe it was a council member, but it just really shows the mindset of the person who thinks that freedom of speech being restricted from one person wouldn't affect them. You know, if anybody is restricted, we're all restricted.
Exactly
you know.
right.
So you know that person, and And the thing about it is, you know, I grew up in Marion Catholic, so I've had the ability and the pleasure of getting to know like all three of the major religions extensively. And so, you know, having that comment made, you know, I thought it was, I believe Tara Dyer was here, we were speaking about the buses at that time. I believe that might have been the reason why I came. And so, yeah, that was done. And the excuse that I was given at that time was that, you know, there was a computer glitch of some sort, but it lasted throughout the whole time I was at the podium, and then the next person, the glitch was fixed. So I don't know how that works or who deals with the live feed or what happens, but it definitely did occur. And, you know, I didn't come back for a moment because I felt, you know, very much wronged, and it did a thing to me because this has occurred before, not here at City Council, but I'm a public records requester. I'm certified under Dave Yost and Keith Faber. And so I've been opening up a lot of old cases for others and for myself, okay? And this same type of behavior, what I deem as Islamophobia, occurred to me across the street in family court. Prior to me going to court, I was scheduled for a hearing, and they mopped the floor. I cleaned the whole family floor with my hijab and jalabia. And still to this day, there's nothing on the court record that would deem that anything that occurred that day was lawful, okay? There was a bench warrant in place that claimed that I was in direct contempt of court, which means I would have to be in front of the judge, you know, not indirect. And the court docket in Ohio, the journal speaks, and if it's not journalized, then if there's no order on that journal, then I can't be in contempt of court.
Ms. Haynes?
So that has happened.
Could I interrupt you? I'd love to talk to you about this after the meeting, but we need to proceed on.
Yes.
Do you have anything else as far as legislation goes?
As far as legislation goes, I think the people should just be able to speak. And if what you're saying is that you only want to limit us to a term, you know, and then we can come back up, I think that, you know, I think that may be reasonable. But we have to see what your conditions are for us because, again, you guys are servants of the people, right?
Correct.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Anyone else have any matters not on the agenda? Hearing none, meeting adjourned 7:18 p.m. I guess I just need seats, huh?
I got to see you when around.
Oh, thank you, sir. Ooh, that is warm.
I didn't see any directions.
No damage and harmage?
I don't think so. I'm not gonna even do it anymore.
We asked for 60, but we got 60.
Because apparently I'm a bastard for
I had actually done
that too.
I had actually heard because we
Yeah, I didn't see any either. I don't. Do you see anything there?
I'm sorry, what?
It's a very clean,
Oh, yeah. 7:19, we'll call Finance Committee to order. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Present.
Mr. Archsmith?
Here.
Mr. Clark?
Here.
All right, we do have minutes from May 18th. I assume Council Committee had a chance to review those?
yes, we did, and I see no problem with it. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Clerk, I have a first and a second for approval. Can you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Archsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right. First item of old business is an update on audits and just kind of where we're at with the reconciliation process.
Not much has changed on that since the last time we met in the committee, but there is some hope for the 22 to be completed in the near future.
Okay.
Some of us attended a meeting with the individual we have on track for that, and it seemed like he's near finishing it. It may not be a perfect reconciliation, but it will be, might have small differences, but how long are we going to chase
Yeah.
a little bit, money? So that's where we are on the 20.
So just to clarify, I think last time we met, he was having some health complications again. He is actively working on it, or?
He's working on it now.
Okay. Questions from committee?
None for me.
None for me.
Questions from the audience? Folk? No? All right, moving on to item number 2 of old business, penalties and appeals. Any update on police and fire pension fund or the IRS or the claim against the bond? Either of those. Police and fire pension fund?
Nothing new.
Nothing new?
So there's two different things related to the police and fire pension fund. There are the corrections that are being made by those administrators working together for the errors that happened in December.
Yep.
And January and other months that I'm not remembering. And then there's also on your agenda is the bond claim, and which is separate, but that hasn't changed in regards to the auditor states aware of our request to have a finding for recovery in regards to any monies that were expended for illegal purposes.
Were we issued penalties for the issues in December, January, and any subsequent months?
Not as far as I know as of this date, but it's reasonable to expect that we will be receiving, meaning the city will, because payments were not made on time to those pensions.
Okay.
But
you're not aware of any today?
No, I am not.
Questions from committee?
No, I have none.
Citizens, any questions? All right, we will move on to new business. First item of business is Finance 37, Fire Department grant. Clerk, could you please read?
An ordinance to authorize the Safety Service Director to apply for and administer the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, AFG, through FEMA and declaring an emergency.
All right, looks like this comes from Zoe. Any additional details on this one?
It's just a grant to get some SCBAs. They tried to apply a few years ago. I've been practicing that. Rob's laughing at me. They applied a few years ago and they weren't awarded. There is a 10% match, which would be about $54,000, but we are eligible to apply for a waiver to waive that. We have to meet 1 of 5 criteria. We meet all of them, so hopefully we get the waiver. If not, they did tell me that they have set aside funds in their budget for this to cover it too. But I am hoping we get the waiver.
And so if the match is, what is the total request for?
The total is $540,535.
And this is for SCBA's?
And people that might not know what
Scuba, yeah, air packs.
Any questions from committee?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead.
The economic hardship waiver, is that a separate request that we have to put in?
It's the same application, but it is a longer narrative that we have to write. I've been working pretty closely with Ryan Redmond with the fire department. We're working on
Okay,
it.
so that will just go in with the...
Yeah, it goes exactly with the application. It's just a separate step.
Thank you.
Any other questions from committee?
Nothing else from me.
Questions from citizens? Yes, come on forward. State your name and address, please.
Holly Daniel, 608 Decatur Street. 540, is that the grant that we're asking for, 540,000 and change?
Yes.
What's it supposed to be for?
Breathing apparatus for firefighters.
Tanks.
The breathe, the mask.
Scubas.
The tank.
SCBA's.
And that's it?
I have the exact breakdown of everything we'd be asking for if you wanted.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. Any other questions from citizens? If not, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to send this to council with a recommendation to approve.
I'll second.
Clerk, I've got a first and a second. Could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Archman?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right, next item, Finance 38, YMCA Scholarship Grant. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance authorizing the auditor to accept grant donations from the Marion Community Foundation to provide scholarships for the YMCA Rec Center for the fiscal year 2026.
All right, this also comes to us from Zoe. Looks like there is donations in the form of $3,900 from Marion Community Foundation. Any additional details?
This is the grant we were awarded last year. It comes in the form, of 2 different checks. We just got the second check.
Okay. And then I believe everyone on council probably got this. This was, I believe you put this together for last year's grant, is that correct?
So yeah, it's the same grant. That was the interim report due in March. And we have one more report due in September.
Is this something that you're going to post on the city's website?
I can. If you'd
Can
like
you?
to.
Because this was tremendous. Not only the report itself, but just to share some of the details before the grant. There was a $16 a month cost for a monthly pass or a $5 cost for a pass. Because of the grant, those costs have been waived for all students. And prior to the grant, there was an average of 84 teens that were attending monthly. That average now is in the neighborhood of 267, which is about a 218% increase. Along with that, most of the kids that are going there in the evenings are now getting a meal included with that, which is absolutely tremendous. So I hope we can post this on the website because everyone should take a look at this. It's really good, really good information. Along with that, it's not just Marion City kids. There's, I believe, 18 different schools represented. Everything from Buckeye to Marion Prep, Cardington, Roaring Lions. I'm not even sure what that is, but it's really impressive report. So if there's no questions, I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion that we send this on to council with a recommendation to approve.
No, second.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Archman?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item number 5, Finance 39, Kenton Ave Shelters. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance authorizing the acceptance of grant funds, making necessary appropriations to facilitate the Kenton Avenue rail crossing installation of shelters.
All right, this also comes to us from Mrs. Brown, so
This is just accepting and appropriating the money we were just awarded from the Marion Community Foundation to build 2 shelters at the Kenton Avenue tracks, one on each side.
okay,
It's just for the materials. All the labor will be done in-house.
okay. Questions from committee?
No.
Questions from citizens? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion that we send this on to council with a recommendation to approve.
I'll second.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item number 6, Finance 40, SCMR Fund Appropriations. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance requesting additional appropriations to the SCMR fund and the below listed line item for the year ending December 31st, 2026.
All right. This one does not come to us from Zoe. This one comes to us from Ms. Toriano. What do we have here? Is this just the normal bond refunds?
Correct, it's one of the standing items that we normally have.
Okay. Any questions from committee on this one?
None.
Make a motion, we send this to council with a recommendation to approve.
Second.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right. Item number 7, Finance 41, Federal Equitable Sharing Fund. Clerk, could you please read?
A resolution establishing a federal equitable sharing fund for the receipt of expenditures of federal equitable sharing proceeds.
All right, this comes to us also from Ms. Triano. Probably have some questions on this one, so whatever you can explain on this one. Oh, yes.
What this does is that from time to time, when Marmet specifically, but any Marion law enforcement, work with the feds and there are assets seized, this would create the account to receive those assets that are seized 99% of the time in drug cases.
Okay. So this is strictly related to asset forfeiture? Okay. Questions from committee?
None.
No.
Questions from citizens? Sir, please. State your name and address.
608 Decatur Street, Marion, Ohio.
And your name?
This, don't know my name already?
Thank you.
This is my question. Now, you're talking about asset forfeiture?
Through the federal government, yes, sir.
Okay. Does that mean you'll be able to receive a share of that? It won't go to everything will be going to the feds? Because, I mean, you occasionally get stuff like cash or drugs, which I assume you destroy, and then there's guns, because you remember Morrow County back in 2011 when that detective was shot and almost killed, and they found over 100 guns in the guy's house, and the ATF came and claimed them all. They did the work, and the Fed comes in and takes all the guns, which they do whatever with. So does that mean that, you'll actually be able to get a piece of it then?
Short answer is yes.
Oh.
The feds still take the lion's share, but the short answer is yes. And we've done that before.
Okay. Well.
I'll make a motion to move this on to council with a recommendation to approve.
I'll second.
All right, clerk, I have a first and a second. Could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
No.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to council. Item number 8, Finance 42, Equitable Shared Monies. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance accepting revenue and appropriating funds for equitable shared monies.
All right. Chief?
There's $15,294 that has been provided to Marmet that needs to be transferred into that equitable share account from a 2015 case.
Thank you. Any questions from committee? Questions from, yes?
I just wanted to note, because Chelsea had talked to me earlier about this, the final draft will have the actual account numbers on there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I made a template and then did not have the account numbers on there.
Gotcha, yeah.
But I do have them established and for ready to use once approved.
No problem.
I just didn't want you to think we amended it when it went to council. We're just
Yeah.
following directions and adding the account numbers on it.
Questions from citizens? Seeing none, since I'm sure that no one on council will share my libertarian viewpoints on asset forfeiture, I will make a motion to send this to council with a recommendation to approve.
Second.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right, that concludes the agenda for today. Any matters not on the agenda that should come before Finance Committee?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Before the committee adjourns, I would ask that the committee enter executive session to meet with the city attorney to discuss threatened, imminent, or pending court litigation.
Very well. I did see a few other hands come up. I will make that motion as soon as I am done hearing from citizens. Yes, sir, you had something?
I'll reserve if you're going into executive session.
If we go into executive session, I can tell you,
Probably end.
it'll probably end. Is there going to be anything that comes
No
up?
request for action.
I'll ask the question next week then.
You sure?
You've got to go to executive.
I don't have to do anything right now, but I don't have to do that right now.
We got time.
I got to go home anyway.
All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to go into executive session. Any sitting council members and the administration is welcome to stay.
Second.
Clerk, could you take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Executive session is 7:35.
Shut the office. Kids are going to go get some ice cream.
That one's